My name is Jenny, and at 20 years old, I found myself home alone for the night. My parents and younger brother had left for a family gathering, assuring me they wouldn't be late. Little did I know that this seemingly ordinary night would soon turn into a nightmare. I decided to pass the time by video calling my friend Christina. The warmth of her virtual presence comforted me as I wandered through the quiet house, sharing stories and laughter. The clock struck 10 o'clock, and I realized I had been chatting with Christina for over an hour. The house felt eerily silent, amplifying every creak and groan, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets. As I laughed with Christina, a sudden unease settled over me. Christina's eyes widened, and her voice trembled as she whispered, "Jenny, someone is peeking around your door." My heart pounded against my chest, and I could feel a shiver racing down my spine. I dismissed it at first, thinking Christina might be playing a prank, but the fear in her eyes was too genuine. I turned to look at the door, my breath catching in my throat. The image was blurry, but there was indeed a shadowy figure lurking just outside. Panic set in, and I fumbled for words as I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination. Christina urged me to lock the doors and call the police, her voice now filled with urgency. The seconds stretched into an eternity as I fumbled with the key lock, desperately trying to secure the house. But fate seemed to conspire against me. The key lock was broken, leaving me defenseless. I could hear Christina's muffled cries through the phone, pleading with me to hide as I raced upstairs to my room. Once in my room, I slammed the door shut and frantically looked around for a place to hide. The wardrobe seemed like the only option, so I squeezed myself inside, leaving the door slightly ajar to maintain a view of the room. The darkness inside the closet enveloped me, and the scent of old clothes filled my nostrils. I dialed 911 as quietly as I could, my trembling fingers barely managing to press the buttons. I whispered my address and the situation to the dispatcher, praying that help would arrive before the intruder found me. The dispatcher assured me that the police were on their way, but the seconds ticked away like hours. I strained my ears, listening for any sign of the intruder. The air was thick with tension, as the only sound was the distant hum of the wind. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by the unmistakable sound of the front door being forced open. My heart skipped a beat, and I held my breath, clutching the phone tightly. Footsteps echoed through the house, slow and deliberate. The intruder entered my room, and I could hear the creak of the floorboards as he searched for any signs of life. I felt a cold sweat forming on my forehead, my heart threatening to give away my hiding place with its thunderous beats. Just as I thought the nightmare couldn't get any worse, a booming voice echoed through the house. "Police! Freeze!" The intruder froze, and I could sense the panic in his movements. He darted his gaze around the room, realizing there was no escape. My pulse quickened as I prayed for the police to arrive in time. The intruder, realizing the inevitability of his capture, started to look for another hiding spot. Just as he approached the closet, the voice outside my door grew louder. "Police! We have you surrounded! Surrender now!" The intruder hesitated, torn between finding another hiding place and the imminent arrival of the police. The standoff reached its climax as the intruder made a split-second decision. He bolted toward the window, crashing through it with a desperate attempt to escape. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the room, and I winced at the noise. Moments later, the police burst into the room, guns drawn, ready to confront the intruder. I stumbled out of the closet, my legs weak from fear and relief. The police quickly apprehended the intruder, ensuring he posed no further threat. As they led him away in handcuffs, I couldn't help but shudder at the thought of how close I had come to a tragedy.